Good evening, Rust enjoyers. I hope you're doing alright. So, it's been, well, just over a day since we had this Rust to rotate. Skins are selling reasonably, fairly tamely. That Blackout Sap, for example, that's not selling as much as I thought it would. That makes it a whole lot more interesting in terms of it being an investment. But I'm not specifically here to talk about the skins right here. No. I'm here to talk about potential things on the horizon that could impact, well, all the skins potentially. Or rather, more specifically, the weapon skins. Right, so let's go bring up this tweet from back over to here. Alistair, how you doing, sir? So if you weren't fully well aware, Facepunch have been making some changes that could make Gunplay a little bit more interesting, or maybe not so much. Anyway, so high external walls, you have like a timer now to put them down. If you move around, it resets and whatnot. That's going to be a fair bit awkward. Also, barricades might be tweaked even further, we shall see. But the most interesting detail, which is very interesting based on the fact that we still don't know what's going to happen, some Gunplay changes are on the way soon. Right, so this is fairly coincidental, but it seems to be on the horizon of, 2 years since we had the recall changes. Do you remember that back in 2022? And that did impact certain weapons in terms of their usage. It also impacted their skins very much so. So what I want to focus is, well, you've got to be prepared for this, especially as an investor. If you own a whole bunch of skins for certain weapons and whatnot, keep an eye on what's being changed. Now, you're going to probably sit there and say, well, how do I do that? Well, first of all, you might want to go take a look at the likes of the commits. Yep, we're always bringing it up, and we're bringing it up again. So, here is the commits page for Rust. Facepunch commits, but more specifically, Rust Reboot. Make sure it's Rust Reboot. You'll only see the Rust details being mentioned here. This is where you can see the devs and see what they're currently working on. And it's very useful because you can see all the new potential upcoming content. For example, we have been well aware that there's going to be some sort of special SKS rifle being introduced. It's like an old Soviet rifle. It might be a counterpart, or it might just be a skin for the SAR. The fact that they quite literally said it was referenced from the SAR is pretty interesting. We'll probably see that for May Force Wipe. Alright, so I don't think we'll be seeing the Gunplay changes being mentioned or introduced next week. I'm pretty sure it might be placed in for June Force Wipe, which, you know, probably coincides ever so nicely with the likes of the nice summertime where we see a lot of people playing. So last year we saw averages of over 90,000 people at some point. That was cool, you know, peaks of up to 180,000. That's nice. You know, things are looking very, very interesting for us, the investors, because we would expect when more people playing, the skin prices will improve ever so nicely. But as I was alluding to, about 2 years ago, we had a certain recoil update. We had a recoil update in June 2022. And with all these weapon skins being introduced, that was very nice. But certain weapons did drop off in terms of their usage, I guess theoretically in the meta on the totem pole. Do you remember MP5s? Well, they're still being used quite a lot, especially when you quickly go remind yourself of these blog posts that Facepunch were doing, where they actually showcase like how often weapons are being used, like how good are they being used in terms of like, are people successfully hitting other people with this and whatnot. That went on for a good few months. They don't seem to do this as much anymore. It's a bit strange. But anyway, you can see all the weapons that are being showcased there. Back over to here, I just wanted to get a point across. In the past, with the likes of MP5 and Thompson Skins, they used to be very, very, very reliable investments. Now, you might question how many skins did they have back then compared to now. Last year, for example, Thompson had not that many skins, but last year we ended up getting 17 of them in a single year with a whole bunch of Twitch drops. That kind of caused some problems that definitely added to the potential, well, the downfall, I guess you'd say. But the very notable downfall was the MP5 after the recall update. So, that, unfortunately, really suffered gun demand. Gun demand is what I refer to how often you are actively wanting to use certain weapons in game and whatnot. It seemed to have dropped off, and, well, guess what followed? The skins. I am being 100% honest with you. In the past, you could look at pretty much all the MP5s, and the vast majority of them would be in the positive. They'd sell very comfortably every single week, and they'd retain their value most of the time. Things were good, but then changes were made. People didn't necessarily actively want to use these as much, and well, here we are. We're in this position where the vast majority of them, especially a lot of the newer ones, drop off pretty badly. If there's no demand to use the actual weapon itself, where's the demand to actually use skins in it? Problems. Awesome. But if we can, be aware, stay actively aware of what's currently being mentioned, worked on, tweaked, and changed, you can be potentially the first to react. Now, you probably already own a whole bunch of weapon skins and whatnot. Fair enough. But this would probably be a good indicator for you if you might want to sell them. Be prepared is the point. And you never know what's going to get mentioned. So I'll show you another new thing that we just found out earlier today. Well, it was actually something that's been returned to. Apparently, we're getting some sort of special flintlock weapon, a Blunder buster. Initially, it was first mentioned about 2 months ago. Well, now it's being worked on again. So we get some strange weapons on the horizon. SKS, we're getting a blunderbuster. Apparently it's a flintlock, as you can see right here. Big old booms thing. But that might be some sort of cool looking DIY weapon. That would be interesting. Will that potentially affect all the other handheld weapons we have? Would it be used a whole lot more? Who knows? We can theorise, we can question it. You get the idea. Feel free to comment your thoughts in regards to all of this. But we just got to stay actively in the know in regards to what's being worked on. And you have to react to it. So I wouldn't unload everything you own all in one go. Try and list things reasonably well and whatnot. But also, if we are aware certain things are getting buffs, you might want to jump in and make some moves, make some investments and whatnot. Who knows? Maybe the likes of MP5s will potentially get a nice big buff again. I mean, it's not like they haven't tried. They've they've definitely tried the best to kind of improve it a fair bit. Still hasn't really worked out. And then not too long ago, even Thompson started to suffer. They tweaked the aim cone, didn't they? And that seems to have dropped off a fair bit. So I did mention a little bit earlier, we didn't really have that many Thompson skins in the past. And well, if we could just quickly go over to here, where is it? Thompson, there it is. The Thompson skins used to be very reliable investments in the past. Well, not anymore. How much red do you see? Quite a lot. Ooh. But it was a point literally last year. I'm talking literally May last year. You would have seen a lot of these doing very nicely. Not anymore now. Seems to have dropped off a fair bit. They still get used a lot, but the joy of using it and wanting skins for it seems to have been very badly affected. So just keep in mind, with all the new weapon skins coming out and whatnot, be cautious of what potentially is coming out on the horizon. Throughout all of May, keep an eye out and see what's being mentioned, what's being tweaked, what's being changed. You should be doing this regardless anyway, but as an investor, it's going to matter quite a lot, because I just can't help but assume 2 years on the day, for the anniversary of the combat update, the recall update, whatever you may call it, we very likely might be having another one. I don't really want to say recall update because they never actually specifically mentioned it, but it might be that. Might be that again. Recall update number 2, Boogaloo. Hey! All right then. So, are you telling me that there's an inflation for workbenches and Rust now? What? Yep. Yay! God, I hope you got enough scrap. I hope you're going to enjoy yourself. But yeah, just keep an eye out and be prepared. That's all I say. That's all I'm going to point out. So we'll see what comes out next, and we'll see what potentially is going to be worked on next. We are seeing mentions of brand new monuments. We got another legacy skin currently being worked on. It's all here. Even new recycler colours. You could get it in blue and red and yellow and black and purple. Wow. I don't know why, but it's happening. So, all right, cool. So, yeah, I hope that ramble was straight to the point, understandable enough, and I hope you are now prepared. I don't expect it for May Force Wipe next week, but I won't be surprised if it's going to be happening over the course throughout all of May, and then we get it around June Force Wipe. So, here we go. Let's find out what happens next. Thank you very much for watching me. I greatly appreciate it, and